Hi, this is Nick from Renmore Garden Services, gardening service based in Renmore in Galway. This is my fourth video to do with tomatoes. I've just finished the third one, and just all the talking, it's boring to just talk about it, and also got me a little excited. So what I'm going to do, I wasn't going to do this today because I'm not feeling very well, I'm still suffering from flu, is I'm going to take one of my varieties of tomato, these are the guys, there's not so many of them, and transplant them actually to a smaller pot, but individually to a smaller pot. So I'll get this done as soon as possible so you can see it in action. So hopefully Patchker allows me to do this without eating everything. There they are. I think there's actually 7 in there. There's a really tiny one in the middle. Hasn't really come up, and I'm not going to bother with that. It's very, very weak. It looks actually like it's dying back. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 good ones here. So that's what we're going to go with. So I've got 6 pots, and these are the smallest ones of the type that I've selected. And I'm going with them first because if you have sort of a bigger pot like that, there's nothing wrong with it. But I've only so much window space, so it's kind of better that I have a little bit smaller pot so I can actually fit them all on, because that's going to be a problem for me, I think. I might even use slightly smaller pots for the other ones, we'll see. So, the first thing is a piece of newspaper, just like before, in the bottom of all the pots. So, there's one, and the pots are this size. What I do is I take a sheet, and I'll also do 2 sheets at a time actually. I take a couple of sheets, rip them off, and I think if you fold that in half, you put a crease in and rip them in half again. Now there's 2 sheets here, so I need one of those sheets folded in half. That's plenty. That's just 2 layers of newspaper at the bottom of each pot. That's 1. Really racing to get these done. 2. 3. 4. Patchker wants to help, I think. Or feed my tomatoes. It always makes me nervous when I've got my tomatoes. I think for rodents, they're actually kind of a little bit poisonous. But they seem to like nibbling on the leaves. They never really eat the plant, but they seem to like nibbling on it. So, 5 and 6, I already had the first one done. You'll see that I put the tape on already. I did all that with all the pots beforehand. I'll leave the newspaper so the compost is not kind of dropping on top of everything. So, I've got 6 pots with the compost in them. 1, 2, now you see Mongol's coming out to play as well, 3, 4, they like my pets like digging in the compost as well. So if we ever have plants out somewhere they can get at, even if they're not interested in eating them, they usually make a huge mess. Now, as I said when I first, I've just put that one down, I didn't mean to do this because I'm hurrying a bit. As I said the first time when I was planting the seeds, this compost must have been out in the rain in the shop because it's still very, very wet. So this probably doesn't really need to be watered, but I likely will put a little water in just so that you can see it and then you'll remember to do it yourself. This is my fish blood and bone meal. This is some I had stored outside actually, and even though it's in a sealed plastic pot, it's actually just very wet and sticky inside now. Again, I'm pretty sure at this stage it won't make any difference to put this in, but it's just my habit to do it with a very small amount. Like I said before, almost like grating Parmesan cheese on top. No, you can't have that. It smells like dog food, so I think my rats actually really like that. So a tiny bit of that in, yeah, really smells like dog food. Tiny bit of stir. Now, the important part, move those all out of the way for a moment. And these guys really are not going to leave me alone now when I'm doing this. getting the tomatoes out, you could, sometimes with young seedlings, like leeks for example, the roots get so intertwined, the best way to get them out is to really soak the compost, put it on a plastic bucket or something, and gently tease each plant out, and then you put that wherever you're going to plant it next. But I find with tomatoes, don't let the soil get dry, but don't wet it before you're going to take them out, because when it's just, as it is, this is a little bit crumbly. So hopefully when I take this out now, they'll come out, like a little lump of soil. Mostly they'll come out by themselves. You see? They've come out by themselves. I can see one little root left there in the bottom. And that's the thing, you want to try and not break all the roots off the bottom of each one. Now, very gently tease them apart. See, that one's come up. No, actually you can't eat it. That one's come up with a big lump of soil because it's got lots of roots in there. So that's the root system already for one. So, dig yourself a wee hole and put that in. That's one. Now, at the moment, you'll see I've just got that. No, actually, you can't eat my tomatoes. I've just got that loose on the surface. I suppose I'll dig the holes for the other ones. So I'm just pushing the soil apart. Again, you're trying not to compact it down because you want the roots to be able to settle in there and get busy straight away. So, that's all right. Oh, kind of angle that one a little bit. As you can see, it's got a big lump of compost. Just leave that in there. No, come on. Come on, come on. I know you want to be on TV later. So, that's two, another one. This is the time to be fairly gentle with them if you can, because the roots are just developing, they're very delicate, it's easy to snap them off. As long as you don't snap all of the roots off, there's two together, gently separate them. And there's the little one that didn't really get going. So we won't be using that down there in that pot. So we're up to 4. There's another one there. And a hole there, 5. Not a big one here. 6. Yeah, a bit of the root system. So we've got 6 in here. Now you probably could see that I just kind of very loosely put them in their hole. They're not standing upright. And then what you can do is kind of pack round with compost. Now, the compost that these were growing in originally, as long as it's healthy and it's not covered in rot or something, sometimes when they germinate and they die back, you end up with a kind of rot on the surface of the soil. I wouldn't reuse that compost because you don't want to end up, making your now healthy tomatoes get sick. So I'm putting a bit of that in. Now, remember what I said about the fact that if you cover up a bit of the stem, they'll start producing roots from that piece of stem. So you need to cover the roots that are already there, obviously. But if the soil's coming up the stem a bit, that really doesn't matter because they'll just put more roots out from that piece of stem. A bit too much there. The plant will still continue growing up, but it'll have a bigger root system to feed it. So again, I'm going to put compost in quite high up the stem, but make sure you don't get it on the leaves. Also, you don't press it down, as I discussed in the first video. It's quite important not to get on the leaves. Sometimes if you get soil on the leaves of lots of different plants, they get sick and they get infections from that. So try to be careful. I mean, if you do, it's not the end of the world, but you certainly don't want big lumps of compost sitting on the leaves. That's not going to be good for it. I pressed that one down again a little bit, but it's just really because I wanted to make sure I had enough compost, and that was actually just a single big lump that went in there. So, most of them done. There's one more left. There we go. Yeah, that's good. I'll use this little bit up afterwards as well, so I'm a bit mean with my compost. Now, I'm doing something you shouldn't do. There's actually still compost in that old pot, and I'm putting that back in my compost bag. But I'll actually take that outside, and that little bit in that pot that I didn't use, I'll throw that down on my potatoes actually, so that won't really be used for potting other things. So now what we need to do is we need to write what each of these is. So I'm just, for the time being, I'm just going to do one. Important to know what they are. Tomatoes, these are the organic ones. So Tom's organic Sweetie, I think they're called. Sweetie. My handwriting's terrible. Now what I do is I put the date on, so the original date was 16th of February 2016, and then I put underneath T1. T1 means first transplant, or transplant 1, and then in brackets I put the day's date, which is 13th of the 3rd March 2016. So when you do the next transplant, you probably just need to put the first date that they were originally planted, and then you put T2, so you know, okay, this is the second time I've transplanted it. I guess it's not really that important, but it might later on indicate to you, you know, if you had a really good crop one year and you say you kept transplanting them into bigger pots, how many transplants did you do? You transplant them 3 times or something. So it's a piece of information that might be nice to know. Now, I've got some water here. I'll get that out of the way. Like I said, these are very, very wet already. They don't really need it, but do you know, a little drop is not going to hurt them. It actually helps. This is not a good watering can, by the way. It actually helps to kind of settle the compost a bit as well. And probably better not to put the water directly on the tomato, but to put it around, so it's not being splashed. Something quite important, it's very easy to forget this, I've done it many times myself, is I took this water from our rain barrel in the garden, and it was actually very cold, and I brought it in, and actually I brought it in about 3 hours ago, so it's had a chance to warm up. On a really hot day, you don't want to step into a freezing cold shower. Well, it's the same for your tomatoes. If they're sitting on the windowsill getting lots of sunlight, or in the greenhouse getting lots of sunlight, and you come in with fresh cold water, especially tap water, it's full of all sorts of chemicals as well, fresh cold water, tip that on top of your boiling hot tomatoes, they don't appreciate that at all. That can shock the plant. So there's 2 things. One is, probably try and fill up your watering can the night before. Leave it somewhere, there's going to be just room temperature. You don't want to stick it in a really hot place, just room temperature in the house. And so when you put the water on, it's not a shock to the plant or to the plant's roots. And the second thing, which I think I discussed before, which is to water them in the morning or in the evening. Try not to water them at like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, on a nice sunny day, you think, oh, I should have watered them this morning, I forgot. Now it's really hot and sunny, the sun's blasting in, compost looks really dry. If you have to do it, very carefully water around the plant. Do not water the leaves. But try not to do that, because by then the plant is, you know, it's quite dry, it's very hot, and then you splash loads of freezing cold water on it. It's kind of like frying it, really. But if the plant is noticeably wilting, probably the best thing to do, take the plant out of the sun, water around it so the roots can get the water, because that's the most important thing. Leave it out in the sun for the day and let it recover. Now, these have actually all stood up quite well. Quite often when I put them in, maybe if they're a little bit taller, they're all kind of flopped over. But what usually happens is, by the following day, or at the very worst 2 days, they'll all have stood back up because they want to get maximum sun. So that's it for today. I'll try and pot on the rest of them during the week, and we'll see how they do. I'd say they'll be twice this height in a week from now. And from this point onwards, as long as we get sunny days, they grow very quickly. Okay, thank you.